Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTraining.com. It is 11 minutes till 9 a.m. Eastern Time on finally the news day, right? We got non-farm payroll and Jerome Powell at 12:20. Uh, it is what we've been anticipating all week. And then we got, a couple little dorks in there talking about different things in between. We got Bowman talking about monetary policy transmission post COVID. Like that's going to be, really something else. Williams is also going to be covering that topic. Then we also have Kugler at the same time Powell's on, so I don't think that that one's going to say anything that trumps whatever Powell's saying, right? So that's going to be the rebalancing of labor markets across the world. I just can't wait to, watch that rewind later. And then, not to be outdone again later, going to talk about monetary policy, but all that should be probably while Powell is still on the mic, or for the most part. We're going to have consumer credit at 3. Keep in mind that, we lose an hour of sleep. This coming Monday, that would be Monday, March 10th, is the number one day for auto accidents in the U.S., and it is the number one day for heart attack deaths in the U.S. every year. So, you know, tread lightly and don't, you know, uh, just, be mindful. Try to get your sleep and don't pay more attention to the other idiots that day, I guess is what I'm saying. And then as we look at, uh, where we ended up, we got some levels that we can remove with the squiggly lines that, they just don't seem to be in play. If they come back in, we'll add them back in. Uh, this 57.25 level for the ES, right? That was just a go no go from months ago that I threw on the chart that I thought that if you break that, you could get a rapid acceleration to the downside, and then we will see if that's the case. So I still think that's a pretty good bogey line, and it's not one of those things to the tick or whatever. It's one of those things that you've got a ton of overhead supply above there, and then we'll see what happens if you can push back up. You should, if we spend any time under there, you should have just all kinds of people wanting to sell above that line when we cross it, is what should happen. And then we'll see what does happen. Sometimes you get the little thing that they held on through all this pain. They're not going to sell now, and it goes back up, and it could rally into the next short sequences, but it busts that a second time later after spending 150, 200 points above it. That's still going to be a level that I'm going to watch for probably through September of this year as it gets uh, makes or breaks. So, anyways, the Qs spent time yesterday basically between 485 and 505, 20 points there. The cash market was between 5,700 and 5,850, 150 point range basically. I'm rounding these off, but generally it's around where we stuck. And then the SPY from 570 uh, almost up to 585, so 15-point range, right? A lot of action. If we look at what, you know, believe it or not, there wasn't really much poor structure. We have a few single prints, basically between 20,200 and 20,250 in the Nasdaq. So your first thing this morning is, which side of that auction are we on? Think about it as different groups of people. These people, you know, don't want nothing to, they don't like each other. Think about them as however you want it, Democrats, Republicans, whatever, Bulls, Bears, in our case. But, those are the splits in your auction until proven otherwise. Once in a while we get these areas whitewashed. We just get back and filling and ping ponging around there. But as wild as this market's been lately, I think that we're going to get, clearly above or below for, several hours. Uh, Looking at positioning real quick, we've got the Qs right now are trading basically just under 490. And then you can see that is a large gamma for today. So, as we accelerate below there, if we do, right, the VIX should start skyrocketing. These puts become more valuable. The dealers have to sell more money because, or more of the market, more futures, because these are getting more in the money and they're losing money. And then the same thing, you start crossing above there, right? The dealers have to start buying the market. So that's kind of a little bit of a flip line this morning, and we'll see how aggressive it is. We could just kind of oscillate around there and just keep getting drawn back to it as we swing up and down. So I think if that were to happen, you're really gonna watch the 485 to 495 range. There's 400 points right there between friends, and then if you cross under 485, it you should get a test of 480, more than likely, which would be almost 400 points down from where we're currently trading on the NQ. Uh, and then the same thing, you start holding above 490, you could get potentially a test of 500 again, and we could just wrap ourselves around there, and test it towards the close. That's 400 and about 20 points above where we're currently trading. So, that's all on the table, and obviously plus or minus 200. So you should be thinking about 200-point increments basically today, until proven otherwise, and then on the way to 400-point increments. And then looking at the SPY, the SPY is at 489 right now. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the wrong. It's at 573. Let me rephrase it. The SPY is at 573 right now. So you can see for next week, there's not a lot going on there, but for this week, 575, and again, we're $2 under that. That's 20 ES handles. You can see there's not, you got 570, 565. Those are your major uh, markers, and then I don't think you can get above. And sustain above uh, 484.50 to 485.50. I think this 485 should be your absolute lid unless the VIX is just dropping like a rock. And I find that hard to believe going into a weekend with, so much certainty that, that's just going to be sustainable. So I would, part ways with everything. And if you get to write it up to there, that's where we're going, just be done around 483.75 and don't worry about what happens after that. Even if we go, way up, that's a good ride to get to there. Looking at the cash market, you know, we've got today a very odd thing to me. We are right around this, or we were. I'll have to look now up here. Uh, let's see. We closed the cash market at 57.40 basically. Uh, so if we look at 57.40, we're right in the middle of this band, right? So we could basically go up um, 75 points, or we could go down uh, about 100 points, right? So you've got this. This is your bigger wild range for targets for today. Uh, if it you know, yields its heads. A lot of times we don't trade extremes on a Friday, but if we do, you're looking at 56.50 to 56.45 on the cash, or 58.25 to 58.30. And again, I would get out around 58.20 when you start heading up that way, and I would get out probably around, to be honest with you, I'd get out around 56.80. I wouldn't even try for that, to see if we can push all the way. You can see we got some for next week. There's a lot of stuff at 5,700, and that, you might even be smart to get out at 57.12, to be honest with you, on the way down. Which, see if you can get another way to look at it. See if you can get under 5,700 in the cash market, and then maybe you can, write it down here. That's going to be your stopping point, just because of all the action on next week. I think we beat up positioning here today. Um, Looking at, where we're at, we do have that 5,700 point of control uh, that is on the table, and that goes all the way back, if you can believe it, to September 18th of last year. That's what we're looking at. And then if you kind of look, I mean, I could, you should do this. I just want you to see this, and you can look at it on your chart. Uh, but you've got basically a split right here, right? You've got all this price action here, right? This is could turn into almost a huge island. This is a lot of overhead supply, and this is why I have that 5725. You could make it 5700, but you got that little gap in here as well. Uh, so, right in here is what I'm talking about. You got this little gap right here. You've got this would normally be a support area that you'd have to churn through, but keep in mind that that is a long ass time ago now. And look at how many you could count the little candle bodies here, and then count all these candle bodies here. I don't think these candle bodies really can stop if these people start bailing. So, uh, again, this is potential flush line, and maybe we just get a look above below and fail and come back up, take some higher sequence. But if we, I always say, think about it as a knock knock joke. So this is knock, knock, knock. Someone's going to open the door eventually if they keep knocking on it. So I think we beat that up. So, you know, I don't need to say it. One time framing, ever since we hit this swing high back here on February 19th, it has just been an impulse move down and out of balance, right? We're looking for support, and we'll see how that goes. 57 quarter is what we've had overnight in the action. You can see that we're in value, in value, in value, in value. No one has traded below yesterday's bell low, right? And we have, we ticked those single prints. So you can see that we've got some inventory down here from the overnight session. You've got basically 311,000 contracts for the ES and 117,000 contracts for the NASDAQ that have traded basically value. If you look at this whole, maybe I'll do this again, uh, make it a little bit easier for you guys to see. But when you look at this chart, you've got a couple of little things going on today that are, a little bit abnormal. So uh, you've got basically this is the whole value area high zone for both of these indexes. This red tainted, and then you've got and I did say tainted, but uh, and then you've got the little value areas low zone. So in between here is where value was really at from yesterday. Above it, you're getting long in the tooth if you can't find new buyers. And below it, you're getting long in the tooth if you can't find new sellers. Uh, you've got these single prints right here, right? That's why I think that this is a little bit more key for the NASDAQ. The NASDAQ should actually be a little bit easier to read. You get above here, especially with, 320,000. You got 117,000 contracts, 120, let's call it now for the NASDAQ. This should be, and again, I always say, if what should happen doesn't happen, expect the opposite to happen with equal magnitude and force. You get above this line, you should get a squeeze that runs up first to the upper zone of value area high, which this 20,400 area has been, pivotal for us for a while. You could potentially, we'll see what the reaction is. I would expect some small selling at least, you know, small selling in here. What would that be, like 125 points or something? Maybe come back and test yesterday's open. And then, if you take that out a second time or hit that a second time, you should probably go up to, you could get up to 600, 20,600. That's your up scenario. It's just the same thing for the ES. I'm not going to rehash it. But then if you go down to here, you're looking at basically Jack had a level right around 20,900 if I'm not mistaken, and we'll see his plan here in a minute. But that is another just profile level that should find support. So if you do flush, you could consolidate here for a while and just bounce in that 100-point range, which for us lately is small, right? And then, maybe get a look below and fill, and then just a rep back up to where we start opening the bell at today, wherever that is, and that would be it. So those are some possible scenarios for you. But we're in value. Expect us to churn in value until we break value. Uh, and then it is what it is. So uh, I always say when you're at the edge of the abyss, right? It looks so good that I'm just gonna short it because it's gonna break. But more times than not, especially if you come to the edge of the abyss from far away, you just don't have the energy to push the guy off the cliff, right? You've got to go. So keep in mind that it's going to be now, before and after Jerome Powell. Jerome Powell comes on the mic at 12:20. So we're going to have shenanigans between now and then we're going to have a lot of shenanigans, once he's on the mic. And to be honest with you, I probably won't take any trades while he's on there, and then I, might not take any trades after he gets off. I'm probably going to play the shenanigans before he gets on the mic and just call it a week. I hope you guys um, have a great day. We'll see what Jack's looking at next, and we'll go from there. Take care.